Hey, how's it going, everyone? Hope you're having a great day so far. So what am I working on now? Well, I'm putting my Kia back together. So I got the motor here ready to go back in. Let me just show you. So here it is. This is the used motor out of the wreck that I bought. And I got it a little more centered. Only problem is it's angled a little too much, but that's because I'm using the factory pull points. If I had something closer to the tranny over here, I could use that. I can't really go with the mount there. That just won't work out right. But anyway, so I'm going to get this close to where it needs to be. And what I'll probably do is get a floor jack underneath the front edge of the transmission to try to straighten it out a little bit, get this thing where it needs to be. Maybe even underneath the bell housing, possibly. So let me get this close to where it needs to be, and then we'll pick up from there. So I got a pair of jacks underneath the front of this thing just to try to level that out. Yes, that's on the oil filter. There's not a lot of tension on this. It's basically just leveling it out. All the tension's on that chain. So I'm pretty close here. I just got to start moving things around with a pry bar to try to get it lined up. It's getting closer. So now I can actually get this in place. And now I'm going to pick back up with the hoist. So this way I can get everything there caught. So once I get this caught, I don't tighten anything up. I'm going to get the tranny one caught. And then from there, I'll tighten those all up. And there we are. Everything's caught. I just tightened everything up. I mean, it was super simple. It's really not that difficult. And so now I can take the hoist out. I can take the jacks out. And like I always say, reverse procedure to install. I'll show you some key points as we're going back together. But I'm not going to cover a whole heck of a lot with it. I mean, there's really no point. I don't like making videos that are just filler. I don't like doing that. I know some other places they do, with the fast motion and stuff like that, putting stuff together, but that doesn't show you anything. It really doesn't. So, all right. So let me get going with that, and let's get this accomplished. So there, I got all of that together. All the, the wiring harness is all on up in there. I mean, it's no big deal. It's just basically plug and play, plug everything back in. So now I put the radiator support in. It's held up there with the two screws, like I said. Now, when you start to go in, if you look, these screw holes don't really line up. This whole thing is flexible, though. This whole thing moves around. The nice thing is, see that little stud there? There's one on each side. So the top of this bumper beam has that little hole in there. So you take the bumper beam and you can hang it on there and catch the little 10mm nut. So you catch that in place, and then this way you can juggle this around. If you got to put it up a little bit higher, maybe put a pole jack underneath it, or just push it up with your hands or whatever. But that just makes your life a lot easier to go back together. Because see, nothing there is really lined up. But this whole thing flexes around and moves. Actually there, I just want to show you. As you see, it's held in with the nut. So now the beam stays in place. And you can do what you got to do, and then you can catch the other bolts. And there we go. It's together far enough to start it. I actually got to connect this O2 sensor from down here because you got to feed it up through the bottom, and then I got to connect it there. So let me do that real quick. That's connected now. Everything underneath is hooked up. The mounts, the axles are in place. I put the suspension and stuff back together. There was really nothing special about putting this back together. I've got the battery on charge. I had charged it up initially when this is the battery out of the other car. I'm hoping it's going to still be good. It seems to be taking a charge okay. I had charged it and it seemed to be okay, but we're going to find out. Yeah, there was nothing special. I did polish the headlights while I had them out. This is an older one, so it's got some stars in it in the plastic. Obviously you can see that one looks much better than that one. But yeah, I still got to put coolant in it, which I always wait. I never did drain the oil out of this thing, so it still has the original oil from when I got this thing in. I still got to charge the AC, but let's see if it starts. Let's come over here. Oh, damn. All right. I mean, that fired right on the first click. That sounds pretty good. I'm happy with that. No smoke. Everything looks good. All right. So let me button this thing up. You see a little smoke coming up from underneath because I had sprayed the hardware with some rust penetrant. I don't want to leave it running because it's got no coolant in it. So let me shut it down. All right. I'm a happy camper. All right, let me start putting everything else back together. So there we go, it's running. I'm burping it out. I had already added straight up coolant to it and I added water to it. So it's about a 50-50 mix once it mixes together. And you can see a couple of air bubbles are coming out, which is normal. But yeah, I got the AC machine hooked up. I am basically putting it into a vacuum so then I can recharge it. And then I'm just gonna put the nose back on, put the washer bottle back on. I'm gonna do brakes on it. A couple things I gotta do to this thing first before we can really start driving it. I gotta cut the rotors or replace them. I gotta find out what the price of the rotors are. If they're cheap enough, I'll just buy a pair, otherwise I'll cut them. Yeah, so let's keep going. Let's get this done. There we go, everything's all together. You hear that little bit of a rattle? I don't know if you just heard that as the fan kicked on. There was a dirt dauber nest in the fan, and when that thing first started turning, I didn't realize it was in there. When that thing first started turning, listen. That's actually a remainder of a dirt dauber nest. I gotta finish cleaning it out. But that thing, when that thing first turned on, oh my gosh, did that thing vibrate like really bad. I thought a fan blade was missing from the fan. But, because I still don't know why the motor blew up. It was full of oil, everything was full. You know, I thought possibly it overheated, I don't know. But as you can tell, the thing runs great. I'm very happy about it. So I just gotta look into that noise. It's a little odd. And I'm pretty sure it's just remainders of a dirt dauber nest. I gotta put the washer bottle in and just get the bumper cover on, and then I'm done. We can go for a road test after that. I wound up doing front pads, cutting the rotors on it, because this thing had been sitting so long. I actually cut the rear rotors too. I didn't bother with the pads because the pads look pretty darn good. But once I get all that together, then I guess, after all said and done, then I guess I can start cleaning this thing up and get ready so the wife can drive it. All right, let me keep going. All right, so here we're going to hang the nose on. I just want to show you, it's pretty simple. Really not a heck of a lot to it. You just grab the darn thing, walk it up. And usually what I try to do is line up the top stuff. I know you can't really see what I'm doing here, but if you remember when I took it apart, just those clips, that's all. Now, when you come over here, like I said, these things fit into a groove. Let me show you that. Now you see in here, this plastic piece, it's got like these tabs here. That's what lock into those rectangles. There's there. So what you're gonna do, let me put this back in my tripod. Hold on a second. Like I said, I don't rehearse anything, I just do it. And what you get, what you see is what you get. I mean, I don't practice anything. Eventually maybe I will, but right now I don't. So, just like that. You heard it snap. That means it's in place. Now, coming up underneath here, there's a retaining screw that screws the cover into here to like lock it in place. So now I'm going to do the other side, and then I got to catch that upper cover. But, I mean, there's not much to it. This did not take a long time. It's a very simple job. Yeah, I could have done this in my driveway if I wanted to. If I didn't have a gravel driveway. But anyway, so, you know, luckily I have a lift, so I can do it on a lift at work. Anyway, let's finish this up and let's take it for a road test. Obviously I gotta put the wheels back on it. Got all the shields and everything on. So all that stuff is in place. The washer bottle's up inside there. Everything's hooked up with that. So now basically I'm gonna let this thing down so I can put the wheels back on it. And while doing so, I'm actually gonna leave it running because I want to change the oil. Because like I said, that's the oil that came with this motor when I bought the wreck. The oil didn't look like terrible, so that's why I left it. I figured I would start it, let it run on that, get it nice and hot, and then I'll change it. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Hey, good morning everyone. Okay, so we're back on it. In my Kia, I just went around the corner to the dead-end road, and I'm gonna just drive it down the street. The car's not registered or insured, so I don't want to take a chance being on the road, but I just want to go down my little dead-end road here and see how she acts. Starts right up, sounds good, so let's go. And the steering has an issue. I think I mentioned it. It's electric steering. Something's going on there. First, second, third, fourth. You hear the steering. That's something in the column. Now this thing has electric power steering. Actually, it's an electric power steering column. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. Luckily, I have another parts car because I got a funny feeling it's in the column itself. She runs good. She sounds excellent. So I am okay with this. I'm very happy. My wife will be used to that, the low tire pressure light. Our Caravan has had a low tire pressure light on for 8 years now. I just refuse to buy sensors for it. So, alright, let's head back to the shop. Let's just park this thing. Because the steering column is going to be another day. That's for sure. I got regular work I got to do. See? And now we're back at the shop. So the dead end road is like literally right there. It's nice, it's quick, it's easy. Ooh, you hear that column. Just park this right here. So, anyway, hopefully you got something out of that. You know, installing the motor and whatnot. You know, I'm very happy with the car. I gotta send it out and it's gotta get cleaned. I mean, it's absolutely filthy, but that's okay. But yeah, so anyway, I guess that's it for now. So hopefully you got something out of that. If you get something out of my videos, hit that like button. If you could, please subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe too. I really appreciate it. All right, guys, you have a great day. Keep wrenching.